think I had said that I would rather didn't, because it's hard for me to figure out. There's a long history that has left a very bad taste in my mouth. Using the same table for multiple classes. And it got particularly acrimonious in business school last year. So I was just using it. Anybody else?
So using the same data set.
You can use the same data set. I think that was what we said when we decided. If you use the same data set but wrote a different paper for another class, that's okay. But I don't want you giving the same manuscript to me that you gave to somebody else. One of the reasons for doing that is that what happened last year was that 2 or 3 years ago, I read papers that were submitted to me as course papers by the students' work. And then subsequent to that, they turned up in the literature with a faculty member's name on them. And it turned out that they were submitted to that faculty member as coursework. And I couldn't figure out how the faculty member's name got on the paper, and why the faculty member was claiming to be the senior author. So that just made my life very difficult. The whole circumstance didn't happen. And so I would just assume that this be your work for this class. I'm not expecting, well, in fact, since this has come up before, John Sass, Dr. Sass, Professor Sass, I don't know what you guys call him, Dr. John, Dr. S, JS, as distinct from JJ. He sent me a little email to ask me how things were going. Last year was the first year that the MS-FE students were mixed in with the PhD BA students and the PhD Econ students in this class. I didn't teach this class last fall. Somebody else did. And I guess on both sides of the aisle, it was not considered a great success for some different reasons. So my guess is that John was checking up to make sure how things were going. Maybe he asked his MS-FE students to do a little halfway through the semester evaluation of things, and so to be symmetric and fair about it, he asked me for my assessment also. So the first thing I told him was that I really had been enjoying Econ 8009, that I'm having a good time. It's different from prior semesters because there are a lot more of you in here than prior semesters, and so it requires a somewhat different approach to things. My second observation to him was that less homework this year than in prior years, just because there are so many of you. And it takes a long time to make up homework assignments. It takes a long time to make up the answer keys, and it takes a long, long time to grade them. So the homework assignment that I posted to the web, I posted Sunday?
Yeah.
Sunday night, I guess I posted it. I worked all day Sunday writing that homework assignment. That was a whole day job, just coming up with questions. Probably will take me about half a day because I composed the answers in MathCAD in a way that they're understandable. It'll probably take me about half a day to make up an answer key, and then it'll take me about 2 days to grade your submission. Maybe a little more than 2 days, depending on how fast it goes and how different everybody's answers are. So that's a lot of work, especially when there are so many of you. The big burden is grading. So in prior years, I've done as many as 10 homework assignments in this course, plus the paper, plus the midterm, plus the final. And so that's about 10 days of grading. With all you guys, it takes me 2 days to grade every single exercise, and even if I only give you 3 of them, that's 6 days that I spend grading. So I told them that we had not been doing as much homework as prior years. And then he had some very specific questions, or he had a question about, hang on, he had a question which read, his question was, should an alternative curriculum be developed for the MS-FE students knowing they are not on a research track? To which I gave him a multi-part response, which I'll share with you because it lets you know why I'm doing what I'm doing. There's nothing wrong with sharing that with you, and you deserve to know. So my first reaction to him was, I was a little bit, I had heard what the MS-FE students had said about last year's version of the class. So I guess his question about developing a separate track just for the MS-FE students was not unexpected. I wasn't surprised that he asked the question. But the first part of my response was, the students are not working financial engineers yet. You will be soon. So I don't think you're in a position to make judgments as to whether or not the class is being taught at the right level with the right orientation. You may be able to look back 5 years from now and say, that was a terrible experience, it was completely unhelpful, it didn't do us any good. But ex ante, how do you know? So you have to rely on my good or bad judgment. A former econ student of mine has been working as a financial engineer for about a decade. Maybe it's a little bit longer, I couldn't remember when he first started doing it. He's taught financial engineering at the University of Illinois Chicago and at Rutgers Camden. As a result of my conversations with him, I think that 8009, that's this class I've now taught, is a good foundation necessary to acquire the skills they'll need in order to succeed in a rigorous time series course. And if your plan is to take 518 and 618 with Bill Way in the stat department, you better make sure you remember all the things that we've talked about in here, because he's going to assume that you know them. That's the time series sequence. I don't know, do the MS-FE students have their own time series course?
No, we're going to take the one.
We're going to take 518. Okay, well, I'm telling you now, you better remember all the things that we've talked about and all the intuition that we've tried to explore in the different topics that we've talked about. The students are required to write a research paper. This is a departure from last year. Last year, I don't think young Bao, Dr. Bao, had the students write a research paper. So that's a departure. The papers you're writing are not dissertation quality. They don't have to be. I'm not expecting a dissertation quality paper. I'm expecting a course that you're a paper that you're writing for a 14-week long course when you're doing all these other things. On the other hand, you're not able to bang out your project over a long weekend. And I know that. That's why I gave you all these little pieces along the way to make sure that you weren't thinking in the back of your mind that when over the Thanksgiving break you're going to bang out that paper for Dr. Buck. It's just not going to work that way. And I knew that, and I anticipated, having done this for many years, I know that students try to do that. And I was a student once myself. And then I went on. This research paper writing is important for many, many reasons that are too numerous to list. In any case, when the MS-FE students are working, they will be expected to write reports that justify the position they have taken on a given financial instrument or portfolio or whatever you're looking at. They'll need to write reports evaluating techniques currently employed by their firm and hold those up against more current or other alternatives that are in the literature and explain why one is better than the other. So you need research skills. You're going to need to be able to trot out empirical evidence to make a case for valuing portfolios one way as opposed to another, or why you don't want to worry about second-order terms and all kinds of things like that. So the research experience is extremely important for you. If you can't write a course research paper, then when you're out in the cold, cruel world, you're not going to be able to write good research reports for your employers, and they're going to be very demanding.